There was a brief period in the pandemic where we all recognised who keep our country running. And it wasn't the city bankers, hotshot lawyers or big business executives. It was the people who drive our buses, who sweep our streets, who post our mail. It's people who teach our kids and nurse us back to health. And briefly, even the members opposite thank them. They call them key workers and heroes and clap for them with cameras rolling. But as key workers knew, clapping doesn't pay the bills. And with a decade of falling wages, they couldn't go on. As the cost of living has soared, workers are saying enough is enough and they are demanding a better deal. And of course, the government's line has changed. Members opposite are now calling workers greedy, saying that they're selfish. They've started pitting workers against each other, saying that railway workers couldn't get a pay rise if nurses weren't, but that nurses weren't allowed a pay rise either. And now they've stooped to this, an anti-worker bill that threatens the civil liberties of us all. This new law would see key workers like nurses, railway workers, firefighters and teachers fired for going on strike. From clapping nurses, they're sacking nurses. They say it's about safety, but that word isn't mentioned even once in the pages of this bill. They say it's about bringing us in line with other European nations, but Britain already has some of the most restrictive anti-union laws in the Western world. And no matter what they say, it's definitely not about resolving current disputes. It's only inflaming tensions and making negotiations harder. What this bill is really about is shifting the balance of power, weakening the power of workers and making it easier for bosses to exploit them and for the government to ignore them. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'd like to finish with a message to those watching at home who aren't sure about the strikes. If your pay is too low and your bills are too high, if you're struggling to make ends meet, if you can't get a doctor's appointment, you're not alone. But the problem isn't striking workers. Your problem isn't migrants, refugees or trans people either, or whoever the right-wing press is scapegoating today. Your problem is this Tory government and their 13 years of disastrous rule and the rigged economy that they've built. Because alongside record numbers of food banks, Britain has a record number of billionaires, record profits for big business, and record wealth for the top 1%. So let's bring together everyone who's had enough, and from the picket line to Parliament, let's fight for a better deal. Thank you.